much fun to be here tonight with everybody, the energy, I love it. So, 53 years ago when we got together, the thought of being married was never entered our consciousness. I mean, we could barely come out to each other. We certainly were not thinking about marriage. And 20 years after that, we heard under the grapevine that maybe there'd be a marriage case coming.
33 years.
33, yeah, well, that's right. 33 years. This is why it takes two of us. So 33 years later, we heard there might be a marriage case. And I called Mary Bonato because we were members of the UU Church in Brewster. And we knew our church wanted to support this cause for sure. And in talking with Mary, I said, you know, we've been together 33 years and we really want to get married. And she said, well, you know, maybe we could talk about that. So we met with Mary and we were asked to be plaintiff couples. And we said, well, what would it involve? And she said, well, there'd be, you know, we'd have to do public speaking. And I said, oh, no problem. Gloria's really good at that. I don't do public speaking. So maybe I should go sit down right now. And she said, and if we ask you to do something that you don't want to do, just say no. It's fine to say no. So one of the first things they asked us to do was to go to town hall. Now, we live in Orleans, a very small town. We weren't out, I mean, barely out. In fact, when the Cape Cod Times had a picture of us on the front page saying, Orleans couples to sue for the right to marry, I brought the paper in, and Gloria didn't leave the house for 2 days. I'm not kidding, really. So we were asked to go to the town hall to apply for a marriage license, and I thought, we can't do that. I mean, that's where we get our dog license, we get our shellfish license there. No way, I can't do that. So I said to Mary, I called Mary and I said, Mary, you know, you said we could say no. This is one thing I really need to say no to. And she very kindly, I'm sure she must have been laughing, she said, well, this is actually the only thing you can't say no to. Because it's the basis for the lawsuit. I said, oh, yeah. Now, meanwhile, my honey was all ready to go to town hall. She said, let's have breakfast after. I said, I'm going to throw up, so no. So then what happened?
Well, then what happened is we got to the town hall, and we happened to know the town clerk, and we kind of almost pretended we didn't know her. Because we were going to have to ask, and we had to do two things. We had to make sure we had the $20 in our hand and could put out on the counter.
So my hand was shaking. I put the $20.
And then when she said no, and she apologized, she said she's very sorry, but she can't do that. And I had to ask her why, because she needed to say that she was turning us down because the state of Massachusetts didn't allow same-sex marriage. And she really was apologetic. She said, but I think if you go to Provincetown... So we left there, and we didn't go out to breakfast, but we did undertake an adventure that we had no idea what we were getting into. And I don't think Mary did either, but all of us knew what we were going to be doing, and that is that we were going to be the public face. We were going to be out there letting people, getting to know us, exposing our most vulnerable fears, and trying to just help people see that we're regular people who loved each other so much and just wanted to be able to protect. And let me tell you, I can't tell you the stories of all the other plaintiffs, but their stories are just as heartwarming as ours. And I get teary thinking about it. It's like we went through this together, and the bonds between us grew so deep. And we supported each other, we loved each other, we showed up for each other. One February, when the temperature was, I don't know, it had to be 10 degrees, we were asked if we would go stand out and just be a presence at a rally where there was a teach-in by the Catholic Church against gay marriage. So we went, some of our church people went. The next thing we know, who shows up but Ed and Mike, all the way from wherever they were, to stand with us. And it was one of the hardest part for me was seeing a group of religious people coming through after they had their rally, and we're holding our Love Makes a Family sign, and they're making obscene gestures, and they're yelling out terrible names to us. And it just, I could not fathom that this was a religious institution. So that was one of the hardest parts for me. One of the best parts of the whole saga of going through this was when we could start marrying on May 17th. From then on, that summer, we had 12 other couples that we knew really well in Orleans. And they all got married, and together, I think, were we the 13th? No. Well, we must have been the 12th. But at any rate, we had been together a collective 250 years. So you could say there was a rather pent-up demand. The other most moving thing for us was that each one of these couples asked us to do a reading at their wedding. And for all 12 weddings, the reading were the words of the Honorable Chief Justice Margaret Marshall. So it was really, really hard to do this. It was hard for all of us because there were so many moments when we would think we were making headway and then something terrible would happen and it would be a setback. And we had the governor and the attorney general at the time doing everything they could do to try to reverse the Supreme Court's decision. And it was really the love of our families, our friends, our other plaintiff couples. The people at GLAAD were phenomenal with their love and support. And Mary really did mean it when she said we could say no to almost everything. And we did say no a lot. But I think what we learned the most from this whole experience was even though you're scared to death, and even though it's very hard what you're doing, if you have the passion and the love for the cause, and if it really is all about love, and we all stick together, love will always triumph over hate. So,
That's good.
thank you. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go over that.